Hello everyone, this is Sam, and in today's video we're gonna be having the full version of what I teased just about a few days ago, that is to say a video on how to spend your currencies. First of all, I want to remind you guys that, as I said in the teaser video, spending currencies does not equal making gold. Indeed, you are using your time to acquire currencies, and then you're using these currencies to buy items that you will trade in for gold on the trading post. In no way, shape or form are you actually going to be making gold out of thin air as you spend your currencies. You're merely cashing in on the time already spent. Now, with all of this in mind, I'm going to be telling you how to quickly and efficiently spend your currencies. These might not be the most optimal ways, however, they're going to be the ways that you can use anytime very easily to make some cash without second thoughts. That's what I promise you, and it's starting after the intro. So just before delving in deep of the subject, I'm gonna be going back on what I already teased in the previous video, because I want this video to be as complete as possible. If you're ever in doubt, you can actually have a look at GW2 efficiency in order to make a proper decision on one specific currency. Of course, they don't have all the currencies, so some of the stuff I'm gonna be talking about is not gonna be listed there, and you'll just have to take my word for it. First of all comes Karma. Karma has different ways of being spent, and they rely on whether or not you own specific stuff. If you own the Path of Fire expansion, do buy material crates. You can buy them very easily at Karma merchants in the Path of Fire maps, and the value of what you can get is based on which material is in highest demand. Usually leather is a good pick, cloth comes second. If you do not have Path of Fire but you own the Karmic Converter, you can buy the Bag of Jewels or the tier 6 material bags. Both of these are very good, however you need to have completed a specific achievement, a collection that has to do with champion weapons. This is rather expensive as a starter, so while you might want to get it later on, if you're just starting out with spending your currencies, you can skip out on this method. The third way you can spend Karma is the one that we have already talked about in the previous video. You can either make the beaded weapons, you can also make some grey dyes by buying walnuts at the specific vendor and then turning them into the unidentified grey dyes. Usually these go for a nice price as well. And finally, the last method is forging and salvaging with Karma armor. So the best way to go for it is to get gloves, and the best level for it is usually the one that is giving you either linen or cotton. The best way to spend it can be checked on GW2 efficiency. Now, when it comes to spending your laurels, as said in the previous video, going for the tier 6 material bags or the tier 4 material bags is a very good pick. When you want to spend your badges of honor, it is quite bad. Not gonna lie, you're not gonna make a lot of money from this. However, if that's really the way you want to go, you can go for badges of tribute, or you can go for the catapult blueprints or any other blueprints that would be better money per badge. You can check that on GW2 efficiency. If you're in doubt, always go there. When you want to spend your guild commendations, I previously highlighted ways to spend them, however I found out that there is something much easier. You can go for the ballista or Aracard blueprints, and if you are not getting either of these, you can spend them on the silk squares or the wood glue. Now we're getting to the spirit shards part of the currency. I already mentioned how to best make gold from it, and the way for you guys to do so is either to go by making weapons, which might take a very long time to sell and thus put you at a risk financially wise, or you can go for common material transmutation, which I think is a very good way, as it is surefire, it's profit for sure, and it's foolproof. So really go for that if you want to spend your spirit shards in the most efficient way. The PvP League tickets are not the best currency to spend, so either get the fluff from the vendor or go for the Shards of Glory converter. Then you can also exchange some of your tickets for Shards of Glory themselves, even though I would ask you to refrain from doing so. Now the Ascended Shards of Glory are something that I'm going to be counting as a PvP currency as well. You can mostly get the armor and other skins from them. However, if you want to gamble, you can always get some amulets, salvage them for a chance at the Salvage Excellence. I'm not quite sure you're going to be getting that because the drop rate is very low at something around 5%. Still, that's a way to spend the currency, so we're listing it in there. I'm also going to be counting the Shards of Glory as a PvP currency, even though they are counted as a material, because that is where you're going to be getting the most of them. You can either use them to get amulets directly, or you can also buy the essences to make a Vial of Salt, which is also an amulet, and do exactly what we said earlier on, that is gambling for the Salvage Excellence. Now let's get to the War vs War part again. After the Badges of Glory, we're going for the Skirmish Tickets. You can also use these to go for the amulet, still a way to spend the currency, or you can go for the superior blueprints, which are also a way to spend your currency, even though it is not the most optimal one by far. Now let's get on to the proof of heroics, and the testimony of heroics are going to be working exactly the same way. You can go for the superior siege if you really want to make money off of them. However, I would first recommend that you unlock all the recipes with them, because otherwise you would be spending other currencies on them. And I think that the Proof of Heroic and the Testimony of Heroics, if you're good with all the skill challenges you want to unlock, are better spent on making actual money. Dungeon tokens. So for dungeon tokens, I'm just gonna say that there are 3 rules for them, and you can spend any of the dungeon tokens based on these 3 rules. If you are wanting to make any legendaries or some skins that require spirit shards and dungeon tokens, save them up, go for that. That would be the best money. The second option would be if you dropped a specific recipe from that dungeon, you can craft the jewelry that is tied to it. That is very random, of course, because these recipes have a very low drop rate, so you might want to skip on both of these and go for the third rule, which is if the armor you can get, rare one, is over level 68, get it and salvage it for rares. If it is below level 68, you go for exotic armor and you salvage that as well. Always go for the piece that has the lowest cost in tokens, that is to say the gloves. Fractal relics are a very abundant currency when you start playing that game mode, and as such they do not have many few sinks that would allow you to spend them in order to make some good gold. Instead, there are a few ways to spend them in order to improve your account towards playing more and more fractals. I am thinking of the fractal empowerment buffs that you can buy at the Roar, whether in the Mistlock Sanctuary or directly into the Fractal of the Mists lobby. Now, if you want to actually spend them towards making some money, I would recommend getting some encryption keys and opening your encryption. You're not necessarily going to be making heaps and bounds of profits, but still you will walk away with a few extra silver. Now, when it comes to the Pristine counterparts of the relics, these are mostly used in order to buy some specific account enhancements. However, if you still want to make gold from them, there is the possibility of gambling with amulets using the same method that we have discussed throughout this video. Now, when it comes to spending your open world currencies, Geodes. My opinion, best way to spend them, get some bricks of clay, make clay pots. It's decent money, it's honest job. Bandit Crests, bag of gear. That should be the answer, and it is actually the answer. You can get a lot of materials that way, or you can simply vendor the gear that is not rare in order to make some decent money for the time spent and the currency spent. Airship Parts, lumps of Relics and leyline crystals all go the same ways. Go for recipes. If you have all the recipes already, then you have no way of spending them to make any good money, and you can just pile them up and watch your rank grow up nicely on towards to efficiency. Airship Parts do have another opportunity though in the form of the pruning shear. I would still say that this is not a very reliable way of spending your currency and should only be done if you really want to liquidate it. Provisioner tokens have no way of being spent on the profit, so we're just gonna skip out on this currency and get to the Unbound Magic. You can go for the Magic Warp packets. In my opinion, they're very good. If you're ever in doubt, there again, a lot of drop rate research has been done. You can check it out on the wiki, you can check it out on Reddit, and you can base yourself off of these values in order to best decide how to spend your Unbound Magic. Trade contracts obey the same rule as Karma in PoF. You spend these on crates, you get leather or you get cloth. This is the best way to make gold for them. Now we move on to the Elegy Mosaic, and just like earlier when I mentioned the provisioner tokens, Elegy Mosaics have no proper way of being spent to make money, so you're just better off keeping them and making a choice on what to use them later on. Volatile Magic obeys the similar rule as the Unbound Magic. You will want to spend it in order to get some materials. The best way to go with Volatile Magic is to get shipments, cloth and leather being at the top like usual. Finally, we're getting to the last two currencies of our list, which are going to be the raid related currencies. The first one, the Magnetite Shard, is best spent on ghostly infusions. Even though ghostly infusions are pretty cheap, you're still getting some gold for what you've spent. Of course, it's very low, but then again, Magnetite Shards, if you've already geared all of your characters, have no good use being spent to make money beyond the ghostlies. Finally, the Gaeting Crystals allow you to get 3 different items that can be sold for money, and interestingly enough, the market has regulated itself over these 3 items, so usually the exchange rate is about the same for all of these items. However, I would still recommend to check the trading post if you want to be sure that you are making the most money with your Gaeting Crystals. PLS Infusion is an opportunity, Throne that you can get from Doom is also one, and finally Djinn Medallions. These are the 3 items that you can get for Gaeting Crystals that actually are going to end up making you gold. And now we're actually done with the list of currencies I wanted to cover. I hope that you guys have found this interesting and that you have learned something from this video, because it is actually my goal to make some good educative content available to everyone at no cost, so that you might learn what to do in an online economy. Of course, Guild Wars 2 is my main target, as it is the main MMO I play, but still, this can also be applied in other games and also in your real life. Opportunity cost and decision making is very important, and just because you start doing it in a game doesn't mean you should stop there. And now I wish to thank every single one of you, because you're always liking the videos, commenting below it and sharing them to the people. This helps grow my channel, and I'm also very thankful for the people doing it. I also want to thank the people who are supporting me financially, because they make all of these contents available to everybody else by helping me take time off to work on it. And now I wish every single one of you some happy trading and to get rich.